This segment of Panther Sports Talk is brought to you by CFU, the power of service.
2 years ago, the UNI softball team claimed the Missouri Valley Conference regular season title, and last year the Panthers won the MVC tournament, qualifying them for the NCAA softball tournament. Obviously, the majority of the credit goes to head coach Ryan Jacobs, his staff, and the hard work from each of the student athletes. But Brad Wells shows us how the Panthers are using a unique technology to help in the batter's box.
In an age where sports science is proving to be more valuable to coaches and more applicable to an athlete's performance, it's no surprise that UNI's Heupels is on the front line of research. In the fall of 2011, Alabama head coach and UNI alum Pat Murphy was back on campus visiting a UNI softball practice when UNI head coach Ryan Jacobs introduced Coach Murphy to UNI Assistant Professor of Physical Education, Dr. Robin Lund.
Dr. Lund wanted one of Coach Murphy's former players from Alabama. He thought she would be a perfect fit for relating research to an athlete's training.
We got her down here for a visit, kind of like a recruiting visit all over again, and she fell in love with the place, and she's tremendous. She's so solid, unbelievable student, great writer, super organized, super responsible.
The former first baseman, Cassie Reilly Boccia, was a recent college softball World Series winner, and she's using her playing experience to benefit her studies of biomechanics.
What she really brings to the table is the bridge. She's the bridge between the athletes and the scientists.
Here I get to really look at a female athlete, we get to look at the softball players, get to look at different, my focus is more on the hitting side, so bat speed and bat quickness and how can we measure it.
As a former athlete, Cassie's goal is to put a numeric value on the different aspects of a softball player's motions.
Just to give coaches, give trainers, give athletes another thing that says, hey, bat velocity matters a lot. Look at how it correlates. Look at, I think it can matter. Let's see if we can measure it. Let's see if we can find an easier way to measure it, and let's try to help evaluation of players there.
And come up with those parameters that go with the player, and we can say, we already say this with pitchers. That pitcher throws, this softball pitcher throws 70 miles an hour, and we know that's a lot of velocity for a softball pitcher. Well, okay, what's their bat speed and how can we measure that most effectively?
Through donations to the Biomechanics Lab, Dr. Lund and Dr. Ficklin are now equipped to properly gather data that will more accurately evaluate players' abilities.
We use what's called a Vicon system. In our case, it's a Vicon system, but it's a multiple camera motion capture system that can get three-dimensional data. We've added a tool called an inertial motion unit, or an IMU, which we can affix to the end of the bat, and that allows us to take now this instrument, which is wireless, and we can take it to places like, say, maybe the SEC tournament.
And I think there's a lot more out there that we can evaluate softball and baseball players by, really, especially with the college softball, which is growing in popularity.
While Cassie's time is mostly spent in the lab working on her graduate degree in UNI's School of Heupels, she's also supportive to the rising softball program that Coach Jacobs and his staff have built up over the last 5 years.
We've had her come speak to our team and kind of, pound home what we've been telling them, like, yeah, this is what everybody else is doing. The teams that are winning the national championships and the teams that are competing in the College World Series, this is what they're doing. It's not any different. It's the mindset that they have, and Cassie has that.
I know a couple times I've been out there with, some of these gadgets and the computers, they look a little intimidating, but they've been more than happy to help me out, and I've really appreciated that.
There's a certain set of requirements that an exercise science graduate student has to fulfill. She's been willing to go above and beyond that, to do extra math work, to do extra computer programming even, in order to develop the skill set that she needs to analyze this type of data over the course of her career.